But today I'm going to do something a little differently. What I would like you to do is imagine that in front of me there are a group of young women. And this is a long, long time. Here you are, again, just like every year. Look at you dressed in your mourning, ready to go into the mountains. Some of you have been before, but I see a few new faces. So before you go, I need to tell you why you go into the mountains every year. Because you do not go to celebrate. You go to mourn. I used to go, but now I'm too old. I can't climb into the hills. They're so rocky. But I can tell you. Let me tell you about that first year. That first year. She was my friend, you know, my sister. We grew up together. My father's home was just up the path from her home. We played when we were small children, and that year we had barely turned 13 and were betrothed. We were so excited, becoming young women. But that was the year her father, the judge of our people, led our men and our boys into battle against the Ammonites. The Ammonites are oppressors who sacrificed their little babies to that god, Moloch. And her father gathered all of our men and went to battle. And they went and they fought and they returned victorious. But that day, the day they returned, Miriam and I, you see, she had a name, it was Miriam. Miriam and I were in her father's house talking about our betrothed. We were so excited. We were just talking about all those different things girls talk about. And I looked out the window and I saw them returning, and they were victorious. They were celebrating. And I said, Miriam, look, here they come. And I went out the door and I went up the path so that I could meet my father as he turned toward our home. And Miriam behind me ran to her father. And just as I reached my father, I heard the most horrible sound. And I knew something awful had happened. It wasn't long before we discovered what had happened. We found that before he went to battle, her father went before the place of sacrifice and on his knees begged God for victory and said, if I return in victory, I will sacrifice to you the first living thing that comes out of my home. And the first living thing was his daughter. How could he not know? How could he not know? Who did he think was going to meet him? A sheep? They were out with the shepherds. Of course, his daughter was going to meet him. And she, the dutiful daughter, how could she be a dutiful daughter? Said to him, Father, what you have promised God must be done. But only first let me go up with my friends into the mountains and bewail my virginity. Because, you know, then as now, it was shameful for a woman to go to her death without having born children. So the next day she gathered us and we went up into the mountains. There were 7 of us that year. And for 4 months we danced and we cried and we prayed and we promised her we would not forget. And when we came down from the mountain, her father took her hand and led her to the place of sacrifice. That year, I shamed my family. I refused my betrothed. How could I take for myself that which my sister was denied. And so each year I led a group of young women up into the mountains to remember her. I cannot go into the mountains anymore, but I still tell the story each year. I'm getting old now, and I won't be able to continue. One day it will be one of your tasks to tell this story. Because when I'm gone, if you do not, who will remember? No one.